There we go. It's recording. I'm not going to start yet. I was just making sure that, I don't go an hour or 30 minutes in and we haven't recorded.
Well, we have discussed quite a few things about metaphysics in the last hour and 15 minutes. I'm not sure if you were aware, but I'm glad we've started recording now.
Yes. Everyone listening, this is actually 2 hours in. I forgot to press record. So
Ethan,
me and Ernest know everything about each other now. We're like this, and if anyone can't see, what would you?
We did that in sync as well.
That was in sync. That was crazy. Yeah. What even is that? Quick.
That's like it's like two snakes mating.
Two snakes mating. Everyone, if you're not watching this, just imagine two snakes mating. Okay.
I assume that's how they do
it. I'm not gonna pretend like I know.
Don't want to dive
I'll leave the expertise to you. Okay. I mean, I'll do an introduction. The questions aren't like intense, so you're not going to be caught too off guard. They're just like about your music.
I'm ready for anything, Ethan. You chuck me your most difficult questions. Snake mating, all that stuff. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so Ernest, trying to think. I was going to think of a really intense question there, but my brain failed me, and so anyways, shouldn't breathe too loudly into the mic, right? If I cut out at any point as well, just let me know and I can repeat anything. Is that better? Is that better? I'm just fiddling around at this point.
You sound great.
Okay, beautiful. Well, that's all I need. So do you. Complimenting each other already. Okay, I'll just do a quick introduction and then we'll get into it. I'll give you a little heads up. The first part's kind of about the beginning. I kind of do it in a timeline. So I start with music, growing up, etc. I've got a whole segment on Spiral Bound.
Beautiful.
What else? Tour, and then just like venue stuff, what you've done. I think hopefully you will get the gist. But yeah.
Hopefully I have a good memory enough to bring these things back up, but I'll have a cheat sheet available.
Yes, absolutely. Get your biography up.
I'll try not to cheat too much.
If I just see you looking at a completely different screen, I'll call you out.
That's a teleprompter.
Yeah. Right, okay. I'll start now. Okay, everything's recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of An Anatomy of the Arts. I'm your host, Ethan Neville. Happy New Year. It's the first week of the new year, so that's fun, isn't it? Yay! I'm joined by a wonderful guest. He's incredibly talented. An Australian troubadour. That's my way of describing him, and I think that's quite fitting because I see a cowboy hat in the background. So I thought of the troubadour thing before we even joined the meeting. You're just helping with that. Guitars on the wall. It really helps with that image of you.
I just need a little stuff on a stick and I'll be
yeah, with a little handkerchief on the back. My next guest is Australian folk singer Ernest Aines. How are you, Ernest?
I'm very well. Hello. I'll look at the camera for one time where I'm not just looking at Ethan the whole time. Hello, audience. Good to see you. And thanks for joining us for this biological educational lesson.
Yes, we have already discussed snakes mating in a friendly way, not intense. It was really friendly. Yeah, as you do with friends that you've literally just met 5 minutes ago. Anyways, Ernest, I like to ask my guests the same question, very first question, and everyone that has listened to maybe more than one episode of mine will probably say what it is. When did music first come into your life?
So very early on, my dad raised us on music. I have very faint memories when I was a toddler of seeing him play guitar in the backyard, and my dad, so kind of going back to where he got music from. sort of that, I guess that's a good ramp into my introduction. My dad was born in England, and my nan, who has sadly passed away 2 years ago, she was singing as a cabaret singer up until the day she passed in a bakery every Sunday. So she kind of started him on the journey, going even further back. But yeah, it was really something that was ingrained into my family, and we grew up singing together, me and my sisters, when we were children, in the car, rolling around, listening to the Beatles and listening to Leon Russell and, Neil Young and Crosby, Stills, Nash and all that sort of stuff. And Ray Charles, the list goes on of that sort of era that my dad was into. But yeah, that was really my first introduction into music, was my dad playing music around the house, and he was a singer-songwriter, still trying to make albums. They've gotten quirkier over time.
Nice.
But he used to write sort of ballads and very very soulful, I guess, introspective guitar and singer-songwriter music.
Right, and when did that develop into you starting to write your own music?
I started writing, well, I wrote my first song when I was the age of 13.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I was fairly young. I know that some people start even younger than that, but there's a point at which it's like, do you have any life experience to be able to sort of tap into?
Yeah,
but,
the soulfulness was really going through you at 13 years old. It was puberty.
Yeah,
puberty
that's right.
was really hitting you hard.
Far beyond my years. Yes. all the heartbreak songs that I wrote at 13. But yeah, that was my first song. I didn't really start writing properly until I was 16. But the reason that I started was I started playing guitar at 10, and then my first guitar broke, which was Epiphone that I hated. I didn't really. Yeah, I didn't really understand the like enticement of guitar, because whenever I played it, it sounded like rubbish. So when the headstock of that guitar broke, I was good riddance. Like, finally I have an excuse not to play this anymore. And further down the line, well, actually I think it was about 2 weeks later, my mum went and took me to a guitar shop, which my dad was working at, and got me a guitar which changed my life, I guess, which is a Cole Clark. It's a Australian brand, and they are built to be plugged in. They sound really lovely plugged in, sound very average acoustically, which I think they would admit, because that's sort of, they build them that way on purpose. And I've had that guitar for 20 years now, and that really was the first guitar that I started songwriting on, which I had at the age of 16. I got an 8-track recorder, which feels a bit old school. It was digital, but it was felt a bit old school, and just started coming up with ideas on my 8-track. And I think I had something like 275 ideas or something on that 8-track.
275?
Yeah, ideas. Doesn't mean I had 200. I'm not like Bob Dylan or like, one of those guys.
Had a lifetime of catalog by 16.
Yeah, I'm still releasing albums. It took me, I think, from memory, it was about 124 ideas before I had my first real song.
Right, okay.
Like a finished song, because for me, I'm a perfectionist. I think it's kind of ingrained in me that to be like that. So I would come up with a lot of ideas and then not finish them because they weren't going to be good songs. To me, I just was like, all right, well, that's a cute idea, but it's not, it's not a song-worthy thing. So I came up with my first song, which was called Rivermouth, which is about a man and a fish and them traveling across the 7 seas, becoming friends, losing each other and coming back together. And that was yeah, that was my most popular song for a very, very long time, and it won me a few awards as a young whippersnapper, which is quite
Oh,
funny because it was my first ever song I was happy with. So maybe the perfectionism thing isn't all
yeah,
bad, but
maybe.
it's I think it would be interesting to see what else was on that 8 track, but it unfortunately got thrown in a trash bin. Uh,
Oh,
yes, someone, a landlord that I was staying at a house renting off, one of my housemates pissed her off so bad that she came in and she threw out a whole bunch of stuff.
no
And one of the things
way.
was my 8 track. And so
Really?
who knows what ideas? Maybe there were some good ideas, and now I'll
You
uncover.
got to retune into your inner 16-year-old. Get them all
What was
back.
that?
You got to
Oh,
retune into
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I need to get
Damn.
hypnotized or something. I wonder if they could do that. Tap in my 16-year-old self.
I mean, going back to the whole 8-track thing, when you're 16 with all these ideas, were they all so the music you're releasing now, it's folk. Was that the same kind of music you were making at the very start, or were you experimenting?
So yeah, I mean, I figure I'm probably more in the singer-songwriter realm, only because it's more of an umbrella term. I think folk music is definitely a part of what I do in terms of playing acoustic guitar and playing fingerstyle, because I play, like my main thing is fingerstyle guitar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess that is very synonymous with folk music. But when I started, yeah, that was definitely what I lent towards, was finger picking. And I don't know how that happened. My dad played fingerstyle, but it wasn't his primary thing he played. So yeah, I think I just found that niche that suited my style, and it's really what I just felt out. It was never anything like, my inspirations weren't solely folk music, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Um, but yeah, I think now I'm leaning a lot more out of uh, that folky genre into playing electric guitar, to be
Mm.
honest. So that's the music that I'm writing and recording right now is actually all on electric.
Is it?
It is. So I'm doing the Bob Dylan thing early.
Mm.
So no
Hopefully you
one
get a
gets
better
upset.
reception than him because
Yeah, well, I feel like if they can't pin you down as one thing for a long time, then they're not going to be upset. So that's why I change early.
exactly.
Get
Exactly.
everyone, slightly frazzled, less
Mm.
frazzled. Yeah.
What kind of what's accompanying the electric oh my god, I can't speak. What's accompanying the electric guitar on your new music?
So at the moment it's pretty broad, but I'm doing, oh, actually, well, the one song that I've finished has a lot of harmonies. It's got a viola, it's
Oh
got
wow.
some piano, um, and some sort of synth parts, more ambient sort of soft
Mm.
synth stuff, um, and a lot more layers of guitar, like harmonics and things that are kind of hidden. You wouldn't think they were guitar when you hear it.
Yeah.
But there are some sort of heavier electric, I would say heavy for someone who used to be a singer-songwriter. But yeah, more sort of 70s style, slightly rocky sounding picked guitar, but it's not rock in a way.
Nice. No,
Yeah, I hope I
that
painted
sounds
some sort of
exciting.
picture.
You have painted I mean, to be honest, I would never expect like a fully electric guitar. I mean, you can probably pair it with an electric acoustic, but like a viola, that's kind of left field, no?
Well, a viola, it
That's
depends
the
on the way it's treated. Yeah,
is
they're,
that
they're
that's
like they're the same tuning as a cello,
right.
but they're
Okay.
an octave higher. So
Is it big or small?
it's
It's just
bigger than a violin, but it's not much bigger. So
yeah, you
like
still
if a violin's like that big, a
yeah.
viola's like that big. So it's got
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
it's got a
okay.
bit
Okay, okay.
more bass,
Yeah.
but you can't obviously get as high as a violin.
Mm. Do you play the
But
viola?
No, my friend Indiana, who she's a very mystical sort of fantasy pop singer-songwriter.
Mm.
She also plays piano and viola, and she has done quite a lot with me on my albums and my
Cool.
album and my like live recordings
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
And you ready to see this new segue?
please.
And your album, Spiral Bound, was, you know, it was your debut album, very critically acclaimed. It gained so much, like, I was looking through your accomplishments, your little it's a tab on your bio that I was sent. There's so many like quotes. This is amazing. I'm paraphrasing here for everyone listening, but I think you will get the gist. It was very positive, and if you listen to it, I urge everyone that's listening now, you need to go listen to this because it is amazing. And I've probably annoyed my parents since they've been home from work today because I was blaring it out on my Alexa. It's kind of a conglomerate of new songs and old that were already released as singles and kind of EPs beforehand. But I wanted to ask you how, as an artist, you're going in this new direction now, but when it was released, it was 2023, correct? I think.
Mm-hmm.
How did it reflect your journey as an artist up to that point?
I think so. The songs on the album were written over 10 years. And so there was a lot of transitional moments in between, you know, when I was around 23 and 33. And so it kind of takes you on that journey of
Yeah.
quite a few heartbreaks, you know, moments of travel that, you know, ended up being terrible, and then, you know, bringing about some sort of experiential change. And you definitely see it, not an evolution, but you see a deviation from genre to genre
Mm.
and what I've been loving, you know, influence wise and that sort of thing, you know, because I think one of the main things that critically has been said in reviews is, look how diverse this album is. Isn't that wonderful? And I think that that's the one thing that I was the most scared of when I was releasing was, how can it be so different? It's like, is it going to be too chaotic for people to understand? And that sort of thing, which is, it's really scary because the industry is predicated on, you know, do you know your sound? There's quite a lot of that. I think there's a lot of, you know, have you carved out your sound
Yeah.
properly, you know? And there's a lot of things. If you're an artist in the music industry, if you don't choose a lane, so to speak, then it's more difficult. It would be like going and trying to lend from a lot of different banks. Do you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
There's sort of help, but if you don't seem like you have commitment to one thing or another, I think there's a lot of purists. So if I release a couple of Americana tunes, the Americana people will be like, yeah, but you also release Celtic music and electronic, you know, you play electric guitar and this and that, so you're not one of us. And the folk people might be like, yeah, but you release that and then that, you're not one of us, you know. And then the pop people will be like, ah, you're releasing weird Celtic music, like.
Yeah.
So I was afraid of that, but the people who have reviewed it have all seen that as a strength. So I think that was the most, I guess, fulfilling thing, that it came around, that it was a positive, and people saw it as
100%.
me being a creative artist, me being able to do multi-genre, sing, you know, and songwrite multi-genre music, and be able to not only pull it off, but, you know, offer something to those genres as, you know, just someone who's kind of trying to think outside the box. And yeah, so I think that's one of my favorite things, is that everyone seems to have a favorite song different from another person. And that's a huge win for me. I just feel like if you can create things that are niche, and some people, will love this song and that song. You've created stuff that rings true to people, and therefore it's good. To me,
Yeah,
I just think that's kind of, yeah, if you want to create some sort of measuring stick for what's good music, is if it resonates with some people, then it's good.
absolutely. And
You know, so
what's your favorite song that you've done?
my favorite song that I've done, my favorite song.
I'm sorry, I did say at the start I wouldn't throw any hard questions at you, but I feel like that's probably the meanest to ask a musician.
I could give you like a quirky one that I think is unheralded, because I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I
Okay.
would say there are ones that on stage make me feel the calmest, which is not always a nice feeling. So
Yeah.
I like You're a Garden for that. That didn't come out on the album or the EP. And that's just in a very beautiful open tuning. It always makes me feel very calm. So I love
Yeah.
that. But Thumb is a song off my first EP that didn't get any shine. And I wish that I'd recorded it a different way or released it a different way, because it's I think for me it's the only song that I wrote with a stream of consciousness. And by stream of consciousness I mean you just let words fall out of the pen almost.
Right.
It's not even like you're not thinking. It's just it just kind of goes on the paper and it comes out of you. So that one, to me, the lyrics in it are really something that when people say, oh, I didn't feel like I wrote that or whatever, that's the only one song that it just feels like it came from a very different place. But yeah, the lyrics are: the tendon in my thumb is worn and sore, like Savannah's heart at the winter ball. Now she's starting to unwind like a ball of string when her date was adorned and crowned as king. Pieces of the puzzle were behind the couch. Now she's got them in possession. She's foaming at the mouth. And she's more hyperactive than a drama queen, with a crucial line right before the scene. And she's hoping no one has spiked the punch. Then again, she wouldn't mind all that much. And it's, I don't really know, what that means.
Amazing. Yeah.
I kind of, tried to break it down later, and it, it's kind of, I feel like a bit of it's about setups for disappointment and in life and stuff like that. So there's a bit of that stuff. But yeah, that's probably the closest to the answer I could give.
Yeah. Are you ever able to kind of tune back into the state that you were in when you originally wrote a song? Because I know you said that you'd try to dissect it later on, but are you ever able to kind of perform it as to the emotional level that you wrote it at? If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think that sometimes you are, because when you write a song, it's the rawest it can be.
Yeah.
Obviously. Getting back to that, you need to, I think the only way you can do that, get even close to it, is, and this has happened to me accidentally sometimes, is if I've had a situation in life, maybe the day before that, that has hit me in the same way. So kind of it's it kind of just presents to you again that feeling. But like I'm an eye closed type of guy on stage, and I think that helps me to retrieve as much of my feelings of when I wrote the songs as possible, because I don't have any sensory input from the outside. I'm trying my best to delve into the emotion of it, and it's not always possible, because sometimes you feel like the presence of the room and that sort of thing. But I think that that's really an art in itself, is trying to, on stage, retrieve the emotions that you wrote the song with, and the crowd feels that. There's definitely a sensory feeling, okay, this person's really going deep into where they wrote that from. People can feel it. It comes out in the voice, and it's like, when you hear that fact that you can hear people smiling through the phone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So there's like there's a certain, you know, thing attributed to just like, you don't even need to, you don't need to see inside them, you hear inside them,
Mm,
you know.
I know.
And
Yeah.
yeah, anyway.
And you said about you might experience sometime in your life a song again, just to kind of put it in layman terms. You'll a song that let's take So Far. I'll ask about it later on. It's my favorite song by you. But say whatever So Far is about, you feel that same way in everyday life. Are you ever able to kind of listen to your songs and gain some kind of peace, knowing that like, okay, this isn't like a new feeling. I'm all right. Do you ever find peace knowing that your songs are kind of like a what's the word, healing effect to you? If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Oh, it definitely does. Yeah, no, I think you've nailed it. I think that going back, and if you're going through a hard time in life as a songwriter in this moment that you're in, and sometimes you play a song to yourself that gives you wisdom from when you were younger, that sort of tells you how to get over situations, it's definitely healing because you feel like there's an inner wisdom that's kind of,
Yeah.
oh, we've been here before. We've been there, and then we triumphed over it. And you know, there's a song called Already Found that I have been practicing recently, and it's about, you know, I've been looking for a place I've already found, you know. So it's kind of just about, all right, you've been to, remember one time in your life where you were fully at peace,
Mm,
you know, you've already found that. It's already in you, but it's shrouded by external things.
yeah.
So, you know, that's a very centering thought and very centering feeling, is that we are always at that point. We are always internally, there is some space of us, even if
Yeah.
it's very small or dim, that's fully at peace. But there are things just around that might just be clouding that from your perception at that moment.
Beautiful. I couldn't have put it any better myself, and you definitely answered the question. Um, yeah, that was great. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, because I think that's the benefit of the kind of music that at least you've released so far is that singer-songwriter kind of music, folk music, what blues, soul. I'm a big fan of them, but mostly because they're kind of the most realistic. They're kind of like the most you can you can put yourself into the situation of the songwriter. It doesn't like rap, you can't think, oh yeah, driving fast cars, lots of money. Like you can't relate to it. It might be nice to hear, but you can't relate. And that's the kind of the magic of the music that you make now, is that, or in past days gone, is that you can relate to that because it's such an, I don't want to say working man, but everyday man, everyday woman kind of music. But yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. And because there's so many things to dissect with what you're saying, and it's really annoying because I have to ask a question, but then that question's been answered, and there's more to dissect with what you've already said, and then I've got to go back to the beginning where I want to dissect something else. But
Hey,
you,
free flow. That's all. You know, I love that sort of journalism. It's good.
you you said something earlier, and I know you said that you don't want to contain yourself into one box, right now at least. But you said something about carving out your own voice, or people expecting you to find your own sound and stick to it. Are you, or can you see yourself being the artist that finds eventually something clicks and you stick with that? Or do you feel like you'll always be on the move, just in between genres, just free flow? Do you think that you'll ever contain yourself to one box?
So when I was starting, I think I wanted to be, I never wanted to be just one artist.
Yeah,
I always felt like I could probably come out as 15 different artists and
yeah,
try my best to make great music as each one, you know? So it's a funny thing. I think that in this day and age, you need to stick to one name, you know, or
Yeah.
you don't have to, but look at someone. Oh, I'm just trying to think of an example. Like
Oh,
look at Jay Tillman. Oh, look at Justin Vernon.
okay,
So
I've heard of his name. Yeah, Bono. Is that
Bon
short Bono?
Iver.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
so that's Bon
I thought it was.
Iver. You
There's
know, Jay Tillman was
there's an
part of
artist
the John
called Sign
Whiskey.
Crush. He's nowhere near your kind of field of genre, but he goes under so many pseudonyms. He's got like 7 projects all at once, and it's annoying because I find a song that I like, and that's normally how I find my guests. That's how I found you. I found a song, I listened to more of their songs, and if it's great, then I'll contact. I contacted Sign Crush's Motorist. He responded. It didn't go ahead. It happens. And then I found another song that I liked, and I was like, "Oh, this is insane. This is so good." Okay, It's just the same guy. So I had that whole letdown, and yeah.
Was it
Anyway,
similar music?
yeah. So Sign Crush's Motorist is kind of synthy, really. It's violin, but kind of distorted. It's really I don't know what genre, because I feel like if I say it, because he's quite popular in the UK and Ireland, if I say a genre, I will get.
You might be wrong.
Yeah, and
Yeah, which is why it, you know, you could just if it's a similar, you know, to use lack of a better word, vibe. If it's a similar vibe and you're changing your name, there might be other reasons why you're doing that. But I think if you make new music or a new genre that you think is too dangerous to release as your current name, then it's totally fine to go and make another pseudonym.
yeah,
But yeah, there are a lot of reasons why you should just stick to what your name is now, and it's just ease of being able to be found. Look at people like Cat Stevens. As soon as he changed his name to Yusuf Islam and started going around and touring the world as Yusuf Islam, he was like, uh-oh, this isn't working. Oh,
yeah.
why is that, Yusuf? Because everyone knows me as Cat Stevens.
Fun
So
fact:
we
my
should
granddad went to school with Cat Stevens, so
no way.
that's I think it's primary
Where?
school. Primary school in London. Yeah, he went to school with Cat Stevens or Yusuf. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know if that's his actual name or if Yusuf is.
Yusuf
But
Islam's his name now.
yes,
Yeah, because he changed
yeah,
his face and changed his name. And but that just goes to show that it's about, can you be found still?
yeah,
You know, because at the end of the day, as a musician, you just want people to hear the music.
yeah,
You know, and you know, at least I do, and I think most musicians would. But yeah, it kind of works against you if you keep changing your name. And
yeah,
and I think that being able to have creative freedom and feel like you're free to create whatever you want is a big thing, and it's hard for most musicians to grasp. But go listen to the David Bowie video where he talks about, you know, never succumb to what others feel like you should write,
okay,
or never people please in music.
yeah,
That's the time where you just squish your music down, and you therefore squish your creativity down. And
yeah,
I think it's better to challenge people's ears, and challenge yourself to get over yourself, get out of your own way, because it's the conscious mind that stops you from and overthinks and all of that stuff. And you just need to let creativity be, because
yeah.
that's what pushes creativity forward and us as human beings forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. There was a guy that I saw. There was a YouTube video, and he was a YouTuber talking about, because obviously YouTubers, they have loads of different accounts for different like videos that they make. But he said that why would he want to make another YouTube account when it's still him? Because even if you go and make another pseudonym, it's still a part of you, and that part of you is still going to be in the previous project or previous pseudonym that you were. It's still, you can't like substitute bits of you out just to create a project. There's always going to be hints of the trail that you've left behind. So
Yes.
I guess, yeah, yeah, 100%. And yeah, 100%.
I can also offer a little bit of an alternative, I guess, option and reason why people might change their name and pseudonyms. I'm unashamedly a rap hip hop fan as well.
Mhm,
I love lyrics. I love
mhm,
lyricists. I
absolutely.
just think that it doesn't matter what background you're from. Lyrics are lyrics. Like you want to listen to Shakespeare, you want to go back and read Yeats and blah blah blah. It's just beautiful literature, and at times people get shrouded with the whole but it's about gang banging and
Mhm,
slanging drugs. It's not.
mhm,
It's not all about that. So
yeah,
stop being so shallow-minded. Anyway, there's a rapper who was named MF Doom. He was also named
absolutely. Love MF Doom.
Ghidorah. He was
Yeah.
also named Victor Von Doom.
Mhm,
Metal Fingers, blah blah blah. Had a lot of different pseudonyms, and that is cool. That was a part of his mythos. It's like he's creating characters in his own world that is this comic book world, as a supervillain. And I thought that was super interesting. And that's kind of another way, I guess, of using a change of name that you can actually bring more people in by doing
yeah.
that, because it creates a whole story and a very like just a really cool background for who you are. It's slightly mysterious, all that sort of thing. So I mean, we're talking about it in a general sense that musicians, what would be more helpful for you on the whole. But I mean, there's also that. There's also
Mm.
that bit as
Um,
well.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm just gonna divert away from the pseudonym thing, but you said earlier um about only writing, I think it was Thumb that you wrote in free flow.
Yep. Yep,
Okay.
that's right.
You said that was your only song written in that form. What is your creative process like for approaching a song?
So for me, I do a guitar part. I come up with a very inspiring guitar part that really sparks me, because I feel like at the best of times I'm very low on dopamine, and what has to spark me is something really unique. So if I come up with something, I'm usually toiling away, or sometimes I'll be putting new strings on my guitar and I'll just land on an alternate tuning and I play around with it, and I get to the point where, cool, I formed something that is at least enough for a verse. So I'll go and record that. Then, if it's something that's really tricky, I'll have to come back, listen to myself playing it, and kind of just start to mumble, start to like sing into like a second track. And I slowly whittle away at what I'm mumbling and trying to understand what I'm singing or what I'm trying to sing, because we all, I think, get that chords are emotive. They carry a certain
Yes. Yeah.
they carry a certain language with them, a certain sort of sensibility. Minor chords are often just thought of as sad. Not true, I don't think, but there is a certain sense to that. If you played that to a kid, they'd be like, yeah, sad. And you play a major chord, yeah, cool, that's happy.
Mm.
And so when I'm coming up with things, there's often affiliated emotions that is coming out of my subconscious, I realize too. So it's the combination of all of these chords with different sensibilities and different emotions tying together, and I think I'm just trying to decode in my mind and in my soul that what's coming out of that, what's hidden behind that emotively for me.
Yeah.
And so I'll have some parts and kind of have to listen a few times, and what really I don't start putting pen to paper until I have a pretty formed idea of quite a few of the lines. And I'll just sort of naturally get to the point where I'm singing stuff that makes a bit of sense. And then once I put pen to paper, it might all completely change, or I might have some stuff that stays the same. But that first, like the song Rivermouth, that was the first song I ever wrote. It wasn't I was swimming down at the dock to fill the day. It was like, drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee wasn't mine. Searched for mountains of gold, but the mountains were dry. And I didn't use that. I didn't use those lines. I think they're fine. I think they're cool lines, but it didn't. On the whole of the song, it just completely, the storyline changed. I had to change all the lyrics, and yeah, and the song turned out great. But I think there's a lot to be said about how many drafts you take to write a song. If you really delve into doing multiple drafts, say if you did 5 drafts of a song, that seems crazy. That seems really crazy. And I've never done that, but I think that you could glean quite a few interesting changes to a song if you did things that way. And I usually do maybe 2 or 3, sometimes 4. And it'll be like, here's a piece of paper. Okay. Here's a song that I wrote recently, just so you can see. And this is in reverse.
Oh, yeah.
You can see I've just scribbled things out, and I've put lines below, and it's like it's editing a novel. It's the same. It's just, where should things fit? And yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about flow of words. And a lot of songwriters, and I don't want to be critical, but a lot of things that you'll hear from rookie songwriters is that they don't know how to fit syllables to a rhythm, to fit in a bar. So, you'll have, just say I'm strumming the guitar, and I don't quite have enough syllables to fit the bar, and so I just stretch a word out really long. And try to squeeze it in there. And you hear that even at the top of the pop charts and things like that. And I think that irks a lot of songwriters. Oh, that's not like, they're just kind of cheated. But yeah, it's something that when you start to get the rhythm, melodies start to fit better, and all that stuff. So that took me a long time to get that stuff all feeling really flowy.
Yeah.
And nice.
Do you ever, when you're, oh my God, my voice just broke. Do you ever?
Welcome to people.
Hopefully the mic didn't pick that up, but I've made a point of it now. Do you ever? So, let me get back to my point. When you're creating the guitar, the melody, before you put pen to paper, do you ever have an inkling of, the idea that you kind of want to create? I mean, let's take. I won't take your honesty away. That's a very emotive song. I'll ask about it in a second, but take that for example. When you were first creating that, did you have any idea that that's the idea or the direction that you wanted the song to take?
No. I think but the guitar, and going back to how that sort of informs your writing, the guitar in that song is very simple. It's very folky, and for me, simple music demands a straightforward story, or something that like just drives ahead. And that song, it's just about men and women, my perspective on that as a kid, how everyone was going through struggles, and yeah, I think that a lot the story kind of goes into a little bit of a weird ending, just about clubbing and growing up and seeing, you know, people in the club and how much I hated that, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, that was kind of purely something that developed from feeling like I needed to talk about something simple but also deep in
Yeah,
a short space of time.
absolutely. And
Mm.
another song that I have previously mentioned is my favorite so far. I will burst if we don't talk about it because it is such. And when I was writing the songs, I wasn't writing anything. When I was writing the questions, I had your music blaring, and So Far came on. Can you just talk me through what the song's about? What kind of influenced or inspired you to create that sound?
Yeah. So firstly, I'm glad you liked that one. That was when I first wrote that, I was really happy I'd trained myself to be able to play that guitar part, which was you know, triplets over like a 1-2 bass part, and
Dum,
that took
dum,
me
dum, dum,
a
dum,
long time. Yeah.
mm, 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 mm,
That took me a long time to get. Still very
mm.
difficult for me to play. But so that formed about 4 or 5 years ago. I was writing. I think this was one of the songs that was directly sort of inspired by the guitar part was inspired by Fleetwood Mac. So there's
Wow,
a
okay.
song called Never Going Back.
Yeah.
You know,
Dun, 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 dun. That is a horrible song to play on guitar. That
it's
is
very difficult. Yeah.
every song by Lindsay is incredibly difficult. Yeah, magic.
Lindsey Buckingham, yeah, he was an incredible guitarist, and I think a lot of advanced guitarists still struggle with that. So I wanted to teach myself that, and then coming up with this song, the tuning. So it's E B E. So the A string and the D string are both tuned up a whole tone, which is very risky on stage because you can break strings very easily doing that. But if so after I learned that part by Fleetwood Mac, I went and wrote this guitar part and had that tuning. I'm not sure how I stumbled upon it, but it was just sort of just happened. And yeah, the song is about my struggles with kind of feeling a lot of distance from myself. So kind of being at the point where I feel like I'm not putting my best foot forward or being my best self. So it's like, I've been so far, my dear, I've been waiting for a long time, you know. So I'm trying to get back to myself. And you know, I've been so far, my dear, I've been hiding in the best place I know. And it's kind of talking about sheltering myself from the world a bit, because you know, when you feel, when you're very in life and you're very in the moment, there's a lot more volatility. Like you can feel more shakeable because you're not kind of apathetic as you are. And when you completely step outside of your true
Yeah,
self, you're really kind of like shutting some of yourself off, you know. And it can be protective, and that's the thing, you know. Everyone goes through it. Like, it's not. I'm not saying that's a necessarily a bad thing as well.
yeah,
Sometimes you have to protect yourself. But yeah, that's the kind of thing. And you know, searching for meaning, searching for someone, you know, can I get a quick fix? Has anyone got a quick fix for me? You know, um, and that's the whole, you know, I've been riding on an icy road made of cold stone. You seem so nice, baby. Won't you take me on a ride home? You know, trying to get someone just help me, like, you know, come and give me a great time and whisk me away from my troubles, basically.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but that song, I'm very proud of just the way it sort of ended up, and the recording was a lot of layers. I think I played banjo. I played
Yeah.
an octave below so detuned guitar and then up-tuned guitar, and it all seems to meld half decently. So yeah, that's I'm glad that that's been that's kind of taken off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is your most popular song, I think.
It
At least
is, yeah.
Spotify. Yeah, that's across the board though, isn't it?
Yeah, which is talking about the Spotify thing. I had that song up as my first single,
Yeah,
and at the start when it first came out, it didn't have many plays at all. I think it took a year to get to something like 7,000 plays or something, and I was a bit disappointed because I'd put so much promotional time into it. You know, us indie songwriters, take care of your mental health, please, because you know, it sometimes it doesn't work. You put all the money and time and everything into social media, and it just doesn't pan out like you want. And that goes to the multi-genre thing again. Most of your audience didn't follow you because of one genre, so only a portion of them are going to like what you release. It's just kind of the. But Spotify has a thing called Spotify DJ. It's an algorithmic DJ, and it recommends certain songs to people. And so that song has 300 and something, 50,000 streams, and most of them are in Texas. And
I can see that. To be fair, I can see that's a very Texas song, I would say.
Yeah, which is I mean, I'm not happy or sad about that. I just said, like, okay, it's just weird because it's you know, when you put all that time into it, it doesn't really get anywhere. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it starts to get, you know, 30,000 plays a month. It's like, okay, I guess all of I've wasted a lot of time, and I should have just waited for the algorithm to select my music that it thinks would do well. But I don't know why it just goes with, like, it's just that one song.
Yeah.
So but I mean, to be honest, I'm just happy it's getting out there.
I'm happy too. You need to be heard. You need to be heard.
It's nice when a song like that with that sort of message gets the chance to kind of be just felt and used as hopefully some sort of salve for someone, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And talking about the sound of the song, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you used a different, I don't know how to put this, microphone. I'm trying to think of, there was some kind of, was there a vocal effect? Because there's a very how do I put this? Gregory Alan Isakovi kind of mic key thing going on. That's the worst way to put it. You probably have no clue what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I get exactly what you mean.
Still guitar-y. Yeah. Was there any effect to your voice in that song?
So what you're referring to
the way it was
is
recorded.
A radio mic.
Yes.
So basically, it's also called the telephone effect, I guess. It's so what Gregory Alan Isakovi, is that how you say it?
Isakov. No, I was trying to go with, like, I should have said Gregory Alan Isakov-esque. I don't know why I went E.
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
So Gregory Alan Isakov, he has on his albums, he's got like a normal mic sound, and he's got a radio mic sound which cuts off all the low end and some of the high end, and it's a very short band of EQ that your voice gets to pass through. So yeah, that was something on this song. I think I remember that, you know, asking for that. So in the mixing room, I was like, what would it sound like with that effect on it? And it's a very country sound. That
bluegrass.
Yeah, it's got that sort of like harkens back to old school traditional country folk bluegrass. And yeah, I think it's like a call out. It sort of works in that whole way of, I'm doing a call out to you. I'm doing a call out to people to sort of give them the message clearer as well. So I think a lot of the time you don't just slap on effects because it sounds cool. It's like, how does that give more to the emotion or the feeling behind the song, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So that's how that came about.
Absolutely. And when you said the telephone effect. I think that's when it kind of twigged, because you said about the call out, and that's kind of how whoever the people you were talking or aiming the song at, if there was anyone at all, that's how they would have heard it. Because telephone. See how I made that link there. It shouldn't have took me that long. But I did want to talk about the FAI official showcase.
Yes.
Because this is exciting. I kind of want you to tell this, and especially the encounter afterwards, because that's got to be amazing. I'll let you take the wheel, but please talk to us how how that came about, because that's incredible.
So okay, yeah. The story goes. So I was selected to be part of the Folk Alliance International conference, which is it's in a big hotel. It's I think 3 stories dedicated to purely gigs. So every single room on that floor has a gig in it every single night. So you have, I think you play for 25 minutes, and I had 9 shows over the week.
Really?
I had 9, yeah. So I was
Damn.
playing twice a day sometimes. And I had 1 major showcase. But I love this fact. So over the whole week, because it's 3 floors and there's 100 floors and there was 7 shows a night. So it's like 2,100 shows a night or something in this one hotel.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
That's what? So is it kind
It
of
was
like
something, it's like a ridiculous amount, because it's folk music from all over the world, and a lot of musicians are going there just to show their stuff, and they might be playing to 1 person. It's a very interesting thing. You walk one room, there's a guy playing the triangle, someone playing the kabasa, and someone like singing, and there's 1 person watching. 3 on 1.
That's got to be intense. Just 1 person watching you play the triangle, just staring at you. That's got to be really like. At that point, I think
I don't know if intense is the word. I think it's just. I think
romantic.
It's like, oh, is this person even? Yeah, are they just asleep? Because it's funny. They'll be in the next room. There might be like a Cuban mariachi band, and it's kind of, shut up in there. Like I'm trying to play to my 1 person, and yeah, so it's a very funny situation. I highly recommend anyone. If you want to go see a bit of a fun circus festival, you should go. But I think the story you're alluding to is I played my my showcase, my big showcase. So I played on a stage with big speakers and big audience, a lot of chairs and beautiful hall room and stuff like that. And I had this was my biggest moment today, because I've been plugging away as a self-managed artist for years, and with help from, I had someone helping me, luckily, but this was my big breakthrough, because firstly in Melbourne there's not a lot of avenues for you to go and be found. So when I was invited to play in the US at this official showcase that was filled with industry people, I couldn't believe it. I was pinching myself for months. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is incredible. But on the day, so I played on the stage, and I think I played a good set. I played probably, to most of my potential, I would say, which is, I think I was totally scared that I was gonna just melt down on stage. But afterwards, it being such a big moment, you always have to calm down, like an actual sort of suppressing of your nervous system. You're so amped when you get off stage, even as a folk musician. It's just, you need to sort of digest what's just happened. And so I'm putting my guitar away slowly, trying to sort of like ease myself, because I know I'm going to go out and talk to a whole bunch of people. Hopefully. And someone comes up behind me, grabs me by the shoulders, and I turn around, and there's this older man, about 85, who's, wiry white hair, and he grabs me, he shakes me, he just goes, "Don't ever stop doing this." And he was just, really intense. And I was like, okay, all right, okay, just, I thank you, old man. And then he walked away, and a lady who I know quite well, who used to book Philadelphia Folk Festival, she books Cambridge Folk Festival now. Her name's Lisa Schwartz. She came up to me and she said, "Oh, that's our Messiah. That's our, like, he's a big guy in folk." And I was like, "Who is it?" And she said, "That's Tom Paxton." And I was like, "Who?" I hadn't heard of him before. And then I didn't say anything else to him. I kind of, now I'm kicking myself. I should have gone up to him and been like, "Thank you, sir. Like, thank you so much." And really, yeah, like, just seeing what else, I could sort of say to him. But when I looked later, I realized who he was, and he was friends with Bob Dylan and all of the, like, Pete Seeger and all of these huge luminaries in the folk world. And for him to have come up and been so adamant for me to keep going was a stamp of validation that'll never be erased.
Absolutely. That's crazy. I think I'd have the same reaction though, like, kind of just stand there, because I guess you would recognize, you might, I mean, if you had listened to him, you'd recognize him in his heyday, when he was younger. But to have that confidence at 85, just to walk up to someone completely random and just shake him, especially in America, that's crazy.
Well, I think if anyone's going to do it and think it's a normal thing to do, it probably would be American. But he was, he's definitely, he's an incredible, productive songwriter still. He writes, I think, what did he say? He writes about 5 songs a week. At like, he's pushing 90 now.
That's crazy. Yeah, but he must have some he's got to have some stuff to write about. I mean, you look back at when you were 13 and 16 with, like, your 280 ideas. He's got to have, like, billions. He's racked them up.
The way that he does it now is he does a lot of collaboration online with people. And
really?
Yeah, so he has a lot of writing partners, and they'll be younger musicians who he just wants to work with, and they get on a Zoom call and they write songs together. So, and he's the type of person who the Zoom session's not over until you've written a song. Really? So that's how is how he keeps up his production. If you look, I'm gonna quickly. Actually, can I Google that? No, I'm not gonna Google. Look on Spotify. He's written and recorded and released, I'm not even exaggerating, it's over 60 albums.
Hang on, I'm searching it up.
I want to know the exact number, because
he wrote Ramblin' Man. What? Wait, wants to enter picture in picture. Right, I'm getting some weird note. How many songs has Ollie Murs written? That's not what I searched up. How many songs has that is written? That's Tom Paxton. I don't. Grammy Lifetime. Yeah, see, if he came up to me, I'd have no idea. And that was him in 2000. Willie oh my God. Recorded by Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Doc Watson, Harry Belafonte, Paul and Mary, John Denver, Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, he's been around the
block. Wow.
But I would venture to say he's probably the most prolific folk singer-songwriter to date.
Yeah, he's got to be.
It's incredible. It's incredible how much he's written. And I think that it's just the amount of drive he has to keep doing it. I
Yeah.
want to know where that pool comes from. Where does that pool of needing to keep writing and keep putting
Yeah.
things out come from? Because I often get stagnant of just, oh yeah, I don't feel like writing anything, for this.
Procrastination. He must.
Yeah,
That is not even in his vocabulary. He doesn't.
doesn't seem like it. Mm.
Because
But
yeah.
that's purpose. I think there's a lot to be said just about why is he writing? What's his purpose? He must have just a deep well of purpose
Yeah.
to keep putting things out, not just for him, but for other people.
Yeah.
So I
That's
think that's it.
and the thing is though, especially at that age, I saw Bob Dylan live this year, when he came to London, and I've got to say, his newer stuff's not great. But the fact that you're still writing means that there's something that you feel like you need to write about.
Mm-hmm.
And God, and to have that drive at 85, if Tom Paxton, you're listening, hello. Well done. There you go. There's your validation from Ethan Neville. Yeah. Anyways,
But he's not in the Grammy Hall of Fame for nothing. He deserved that.
no, absolutely. He deserves that for just writing that many songs. Okay, so this last segment, and I'll finish up after the last segment, but I had so many questions written down for you. Like we did this last my last recording was with an actor, a great man. He's really funny, Ethan Lawrence. And basically I'd written so many questions for him. He told me just to speed run through all of them. He says you have, what was it? I don't know. 5 seconds to answer is too little. 10. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer each one. And if you
Okay,
go,
I think I'll be good at this.
If you go over the time though, and I did this to him just for the fun of it, just for the Well, I won't do that. I'll be like, stop. See how I said,
Okay.
stop. No,
Okay.
I'll do it a bit louder and a bit harsher because that's fun.
I'll like warm up my cheeks and
Okay,
my.
yeah. You. Sorry, that's weird. Thing is though as well, this is hard to locate the questions that I've already asked. So if I've asked a question already and I haven't even realized, you've got to do the same back to me.
Skip.
Skip. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I start? Okay, I've got the first one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
With your first music and first release, were you scared to release it?
No.
Oh, okay. Were you when you first started writing? Oh no, I've already asked that one. How important has music been for you throughout life?
Ultimately.
Ultimately.
And yeah, it's been the most important thing. It's deepened my understanding of myself, and it's broached my feelings of social anxiety with other people.
I'll give you a bit longer. I feel like asking these kind of questions. I'll give you like 25 seconds. I'll give you 25 seconds so you can actually answer.
Are we getting through them too quickly?
Yeah, I've got one left. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Yeah, well, that one deserves maybe a little bit more. I think, I think without music, I wouldn't be where I am in terms of, I might not have survived, because for me, like songwriting is such a pressure valve that it has definitely been my one way of putting out all my emotions, because I never really had a family that was into deep conversations. So I think that, definitely was an incredibly important part of my life. Anyway.
Yeah, it's an escape. You at the moment you use a stump box, just yourself on stage. With this new direction, with this whole array of instruments, do you ever plan on increasing that presence on stage?
The amount of things I play, I would, I mean, potentially I've fiddled with the idea of playing a full kick drum on stage. I do play 12 string. I play electric. So I have those on rotation on my tour coming up in the UK. And I don't know, I'd probably play banjo as well. But I also want to get a rain stick. There's a certain rain stick I saw in Dublin at a world music store that you flip it upside down and it goes for 4 minutes, which is about perfect time for a song. And so if you mic that up,
Oh yeah,
have like an ambient, beautiful, sort of serene,
yeah.
calm thing in the background. I often think about that.
You've got to get that on first try though if you're performing live. You can't be like, oh, let me just reset my rain stick. You've got to get that perfect first try and get that lined up quickly. Okay. Um, you've played some pretty big places, as we've mentioned. What has been your favorite place to perform?
I played with Catherine Pretty at an amphitheater. It was a hand-built amphitheater in Suffolk.
Oh wow, that's
And
close. Close, I think.
I think it was Suffolk, yeah. And it was no, Thorington Theatre, it's called. Is that the opposite part of the country?
Wait, I'm
Anyway,
gonna search this up. While you answer, Thorington Theatre.
so it was an old bomb crater. So back in World War II, they used to fly home and they would drop bombs in
Yeah.
certain places in the forest. And this one was a crater that they hand built out of wood into an amphitheater because it was sort of that shape already. And yeah, it holds about 400 people. And Catherine Pretty, who is an incredible folk singer-songwriter, I think a lot of people would know her now. She had just performed, I think, on Jules Holland, and it was sold out show, biggest crowd I've ever played to, and yeah, such a beautiful environment. So that was I think my favorite so far.
Beautiful.
There's been a lot though. There's been a lot.
Update. Thorington Theatre is quite close to me. It's not like next door, but I'm from Cambridge, so it's quite close. I don't know
You
if
should
I.
go. It's beautiful. Not in winter, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I'm sure Sheffield is high up on your list as well.
I love Sheffield.
Mhm.
The
Good.
first place I played in Sheffield was Cafe Number 9.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
You would, I think anyone would love it. It's very, it's got so much character. There's a big goldfish tank right next to the stage. You're behind a desk. There's it's called an ear trumpet. It's one of those old folk mics that just picks up your acoustic sound. And it was my first ever sold out show in the UK. So I had
Really?
my favorite gig up till that point. And I'd played 2 tours at that time. So it was amazing. I love
Oh
Sheffield.
wow. Yeah, Sheffield is amazing. Shout out Sheffield.
Shout out.
Shout out Sheffield.
Shout out
Anyone
Northern Cowboys as well.
Yes.
They're my friends who make they record videos there and they do lots of great stuff there as well.
Shout out Northern Cowboys. How do you deal with performing? Are you the nervous type? Are you excited? You know, what kind of performer are you? Before pre-performance performer?
I think, well, for big stages, I used to get really nervous. And then I think I just like you temper steel kind of over time. I started to sort of harden myself and not have so many nerves. But I still do get nervous, especially if I haven't played in quite a while. Like I'm very, very nervous for the upcoming tour, I have to admit.
Really? What?
I haven't played any shows in Melbourne for a very long time. Yeah, I haven't played I haven't played since the UK last time. I haven't played any gigs in Melbourne. So it's a funny one. I get back to these tours and I'm playing at a folk festival in Tasmania in 3 days, so I should be able to shake a little bit of that stuff off. But yeah, playing in big venues, you might get used to that, and then playing in small venues, you still get nervous. So there are all sorts. I got used to busking. Busking, I have zero nerves ever.
Really?
I can play as much as I want in front of thousands of people walking past. I feel nothing. I don't have any sense of nerves whatsoever. So it's yeah, I think you just get used to different contexts. If I was to play on TV, I'd be nervous again. It's all that sort of thing. But yeah, I think you do get used to it. But I love getting nervous. I think nerves are a great part of performing, and when you start to put it in the context of, well, that's just my body gearing up to make me do the best performance I possibly can. You know, if you see it like that, then you love nerves. You have to embrace nerves. You know, and
That's yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll look at nerves in a different way now. Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
it's your body. You're releasing cortisol. You know,
mm,
it's the stress hormone, but it releases a whole chain of events that boost your ability to have more awareness and more, yeah, ability to perform. You know, your body gets
yeah,
energized. So use it for your advantage. It also
absolutely,
can help with your singing voice sometimes. It can give you good vibrato. You get
absolutely.
nervous, you
Wow,
know?
pro tip. Wow.
Yeah, project.
Okay, amazing. Okay, last question. As it is the first week of the new year, what are your resolution? What's your resolution? Music or not? What's your resolution or resolutions?
Resolutions.
Are you a resolution man? Do you make them?
Very, very loosely.
Mm,
I haven't written any down, but I feel like one thing that was clear to me was I want to keep on working on my ability um, to create strong friendships. I think,
nice.
especially as a singer-songwriter who's traveling for his work a lot, I have to put even more effort into keeping in touch with people and being able to, yeah, like have be in harmony with people and know what they're up to,
Yeah,
and yeah, and sort of, yeah, maintain close friendships to me. So that's a big thing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. No, that's really nice. And last question, because I have kept you an extraordinarily long amount of time. Um,
Ethan, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've
oh,
loved this interview.
oh,
So I just want to thank
oh,
you firstly for having me and putting so much effort into your questions, and
so much.
yeah, and allowing me to be silly, and no, you're being
No,
great. Thank you very
absolutely.
much. I'm
No,
very grateful.
thank you, thank you. And thank you because I have the reason I have so many questions left over is because you've given such great answers. So thank you for that because you've been a great. Is it interviewee? Is that the
Interviewee? Yeah, yeah.
you've been a great interviewee, podcast guest, whatever. You've been great.
I
You've
hope I've
been
been
great.
Gregory Allen
Is it
Isakovi as
Isaac
well,
Covey?
slightly.
Isaac Covey. Yes, immense. Yeah, yes. What are your plans for 2025 moving forward? What I know you said about building friendships, but are we to expect any more releases this year? Or well, I'm saying any more like it's like the first. It's been 6 days, but are we to expect any releases? What's to come for Ernest Aines?
So I've been working on an album. I'll give you that. I don't think I've told anyone that yet.
Oh,
So that's
exclusive.
exclusive. And yeah, it's, as I said, I'm focusing purely on writing on an electric guitar. So it's a big deviation for me. And yeah, it feels like this album's going to be pretty cohesive in terms of what the feeling of the album is. It's a little bit more gelled, I would say, than my previous album, which was much more Sergeant Pepper's lane. So yeah, that's really exciting, and I'm doing 2 tours. I'm already planning my mid-year tour in the UK, so that's incredibly exciting.
Oh,
I'm already planning a tour after this upcoming tour, so
yeah,
that's incredible. I couldn't have fathomed that 2 years ago that I'd be having been back to the UK 5 times in
yeah.
a year and a half. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing people at this upcoming tour, which is packing out. I'm seeing, how many sales are coming through, and it's just, I can't really fathom it in my head, but there's there's hundreds of people at each gig, which is incredible. And yeah, I just can't wait to be back, seeing audiences that I've loved already. I mean, Liverpool and Dublin last year were both my biggest crowds of all time to my shows.
Wow.
And now Oxford is my last show, and hopefully it's getting up to it's at 300 people already, so it's kind of getting up
Wow.
there. So yeah, it's amazing to see crowds sort of locking in with what I do. But also, so the third show in this upcoming UK tour is in Glasgow for Celtic Connections, which is one of the world's biggest, if not the biggest, Celtic festival. So and that has a lot of different artists. The Mystery of Bulgarian Voices are playing. They're not Celtic, but they're just an incredible group that I'm looking forward to try to see. I think it's sold out, but we'll see. But yeah, they're the plans. And then I'm currently getting a visa together to go to the US to play.
Nice.
Who knows? Maybe I'll finally get to play for those Texas audiences.
Yeah, it's
yeehaw.
gotta be.
It'll be
Yeehaw.
fun to get to use that hat as
Yes.
well, which is far too big for me. I need to go to a hatter and get that shrunk or fitted better. Yeah, I bought it. I used it in a very rakish style in my music video for so far, and that's the only way it sort of made sense. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that and just seeing sort of what horizons await me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just want to say, you know, thank you to everyone who's bought tickets in the UK already. You guys are incredible, and I love that the UK seems to get what I'm doing, just because you guys have a richer history of folk music and of lyricism and all that stuff, and you really seem to appreciate it and get it. So I can't be happier and more relieved that you guys are coming out to see the shows.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing you in Sheffield. It'll be an amazing show. Honestly, I look forward to just seeing you grow because you really do deserve it. Everything that's happening at the moment, it's deserved. It's not luck. It's deserved. And you've been. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing to sit with you today.
Thank you so much, Ethan. No, I really appreciate that. I feel yeah, honored to have that said about me. And yeah, thank you so much again. I can't wait to see you in Sheffield.
Absolutely.
It's going to be so fun. Please come up to me after
I
the
will.
show.
I'll come up. I'll shake your shoulders. I'll shake your shoulders.
Yeah. Please.
Make sure you're turned around at all times. Just whenever you talk, so I can surprise you and I can reenact.
Face a wall, yeah. Just slide along the wall.
Slide along the wall. I'll look weird. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to everyone that's listened. If you haven't got tickets for Ernest shows in the UK, Ireland, wherever you're listening, please get them. Make him more nervous before the show. That's good. You've heard it from himself. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, mate. See you next time.